I got a confession to make. I've always wanted a Subaru WRX STI. And so when I wanted to find the ultimate all-wheel drive daily driver that was relatively cheap for here in Washington State, seemed like the perfect answer. I mean, it's the son of a rally car, and it's the kind of car that you want because you've seen its capability in the snow, in the dirt, and even on the asphalt. I don't think anybody's gonna second guess that it is a serious performance car, and it's something that I think everybody aspires to own. And here's the thing about Washington State. It has 4 different seasons. It has summer, fall, spring, and winter. So you need a car that can do everything well. And I gotta say, I am a sucker for World Rally Blue. And so it seemed like the perfect idea to hop on AutoTEMPEST and see what was available. That's right, AutoTEMPEST, the perfect place to find your next ideal car. And I thought the Subaru WRX STI was the perfect car to fit into the ideal car strategies. So I wanted to see how much they were. And after a quick search, you could see that the cheapest one was over $23,000. I thought these things were cheap. I guess that must have been a couple years ago. And here's the thing, living off the salary of a YouTube presenter doesn't necessarily bring in the big bucks. I gotta be on a budget, and I don't want YouTube girlfriend to get really pissed off at me, so I gotta keep it under 20 grand. It kind of got me thinking, what other cars could I get for roughly $20,000? And I definitely wanted something that had some sort of off-road or rally heritage for all those potholes here in Seattle, and enough space so that YouTube girlfriend and I could go on a romantic getaway and, you know, put all our junk in the trunk. And also, all-wheel drive was a non-negotiable. We do get snow here in the winter, so it had to have all-wheel drive. Plus, since I like making money while I drive my cars, I was hoping I'd find something that was going up in value. I know what you guys are thinking. I'm thinking the same thing, Lancer Evolution. And there we go, there is one under $20,000, except it's an Evo 10. And yeah, it does look okay, but I don't know about you, but I'm a way bigger fan of the Evo 9 than the Evo 10. Yes, the Evo 10 is a way better daily driver, which is kind of what we're going for here, but I just haven't gotten over the looks yet of the Evo 10. I just think the Evo 9 is a better looking car, but the Evo 10 isn't gonna do it for me. And that's when it hit me like a hurricane. You know what's way more like a Subaru WRX STI than I ever thought, and probably you too? A Porsche 911. Yeah, I know. Think about it for a second though. They both have a decorative rally heritage. Both have all-wheel drive hardware, both have boxer engines pumping out roughly 300 horsepower, and both have the perfect blend of refinement and the kind of performance that'll keep you coming back for more. And then what will actually blow your mind even more is that a 2004 WRX STI had an MSRP brand new of roughly $32,000. And a 2004 Porsche 911, yeah, try about 3 times as much. And today, thanks to our good old friend depreciation, they're both roughly around the same price. So instead of my ideal car being a Subaru, it's starting to look like, well, it's actually gonna be a Porsche-ru. But before I got too excited, I had to check the price trends for the 996 911 to make sure that it was actually going up in value. And boom, just like that, you guys can see over the past couple of years, it has stayed pretty steady with a little bit of ebbs and flows. And then over the past 6 or so months, they have been going up in value. That is an ideal car and an ideal depreciation, or in this case, appreciation schedule. And yes, I'm in total agreement that this is the perfect car for the ideal car strategies where you can buy it and drive it for free and probably have a profitable exit. So if you want to learn how to do that, check out the ideal car strategies, because now the search is on for a 996 911. And I love it because the 996 generation is easily the most unloved 911 ever. And yet it's the generation that made me fall in love with Porsche. I can remember back in 2005, there was this seal gray 996 C4S at the tennis club that I used to play at. Yeah, I used to play tennis, and in fact, it paid for my college tuition. But that 996 with that beautiful rear end made a lasting impression on little Brad Danger. So the search for my ideal 911 was on. And who else to use than AutoTEMPEST? And there we go, we got $20,000 and that is selling for 20 grand, current bid 13 grand. So we can do it, you guys. And that actually looks very close to the one that I grew up lusting over. Beautiful car, except the one that I loved had black interior and it wasn't a Tiptronic, which this one is. But hey, you don't always have to shift your own gears. It's just much preferred. And if you want to save the manuals, go check out our best-selling Ideal T. So after calling on a couple of listings and not really getting anywhere, I decided to text the guy that had the car that I actually fell in love with, just to see if he was still around and if he had any interest at all in selling it. Let's go outside, shall we? And yes, believe it or not, the guy still had the car that made me fall in love with Porsche. He had it sitting in his garage because he had bought a Tesla. Yeah, why would you do that? And the tires were flat and he said, hey, come on over. And after going and checking out the car and getting a pre-purchase inspection, it was mine. A 2004 Porsche 911 996 generation C4S. Yes, it was mine. The car that made me love Porsche, I now owned. And yes, I agree, it is a striking car, but this rear end, it's up there with one of the best rear ends of all time. But you guys, this is literally the Porsche that made me fall in love. And so it's kind of special that I now own it. But let's not forget, I went on this search initially just looking for an all-wheel drive, do-it-all-well daily driver. And I ended up with a Porsche 911. And not just any Porsche 911. The C4S is actually pretty special. You see, it's got those turbo-styled flared rear quarters and also the turbo suspension. You got the turbo big bad brakes and you got the turbo mechanical all-wheel drive, which will send between 5 and 40% of the torque to the front wheels. And plus, look at this rear end. It is 2.4 inches more girthy or girthier than the narrow body 996. And let's just say this baby's got some hips. And let's not forget this rear reflector that connects both the taillights. I just think that it is one of the most iconic looking rear ends ever. But as much fun as it is to look at, it's even more fun to drive. It is 100% a Porsche 911, no matter what all those enthusiasts think. So, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Let's go take it for a spin. Every time you fire this boxer engine up, you just know you're firing up something that is special. And every time that I get to drive this car, I can't wipe the smile off my face. It is just so much fun to drive. But I think the thing that it makes this car so special is the fact that it is essentially a turbo without being pressurized. It is a naturally aspirated 3.6 liter. Well, most cars have 3.6 liters. This one doesn't. Now, I've driven a couple of Subarus, and the refinement in this Porsche 911 is really second to none. The Germans really know how to put together a well-designed and well-built automobile. If you need all-wheel drive, you need something that has 300 horsepower, and you need something that turns heads, this thing is hard to beat. Now, as good as this car is, there is one gripe. Well, there's a couple. The first, well, it's gonna be these puppies, these headlights. Now, this is the facelift model. This isn't the 996.1, which really look like fried eggs. But this was definitely when Porsche was trying to do something completely new. As you know, or you probably know, all previous generation 911s had these oval-like headlights, and this is the first one to have something going on right here. And Porsche knew they made a mistake. They got so much backlash from enthusiasts, purists, because these headlights looked different, and people don't like things that look different. And Porsche, you know that they made a mistake because with the 997, they went back to the oval headlights. Now, the second thing is on the inside, and it's what's on the inside that counts. At least that's what my dad tells me. And well, let me just show you. Yes, the 996 interior, which looks a little bit like a 90s Taurus. It hasn't aged super gracefully, but it's not the worst interior in the world. And I do like how this pit is so driver focused that it just makes you smile all day long. But now I almost feel like this interior as a whole is starting to become more classic than old. But the 997, although my 997 is only 2 years newer, feels like I'm driving like a 20-year newer car. The interior is just that much nicer. That's not that bad. And for the third thing, the business end. I like it. Yes. This is a beautiful boxer motor. They come with a 3.6 liter and they have that dreaded IMS RMS issue, which I'm not gonna dig into in this video, but essentially the IMS, it's a bad design and they fail a lot, like 10% of the time. And this puppy right here had it fail. So it has a fully rebuilt motor with the original block, but it got bored out to a 4 liter, and this thing pushing out some hefty horsepower, which makes me love it even more. So I'm not complaining because I didn't foot the bill for the built motor, but that can be a costly mistake. Luckily, there are different kits that you can put in and it's a couple $1,000 and that will give you the peace of mind. But if you don't do it and it does implode or explode, then you're looking at a brand new motor. So as you can tell, I am super stoked. I am able to own my dream daily driver. It's the perfect do it all really well, all-season driver here in the good old state of Washington. And I know that all you guys are wondering what I picked this car up for. Well, the 996 generation as a whole is an incredible value right now. And like I said earlier, definitely the one that you could use the ideal car strategies on. And that's exactly what I did with this car. And let's just say that these things are an incredibly stupid, cheap deal for the amount of performance, curb appeal, and smiles per gallon you get from this fine piece of German engineering. Yes, I know, the headlights, come on. But hey, you can live with them, and I think they're actually starting to look really good. And yes, this interior, oh, come on. This interior leaves a little bit to be desired, but hey, it doesn't look that bad. Alcantara, look at that, Alcantara. And the IMS, RMS, it's nothing to really worry about. Yes, 10% are affected, so that is kind of a big number to keep in mind, but hey, you can deal with it. And the reason you can deal with it is because I was able to snag this one for under $20,000. Yes, 19.5. I got this 04 C4S with 78,000 miles, 4 liter, steel gray, and the fact that it's the car that I literally fell in love with and made me love Porsches back in 2005, and the guy that I pestered for 15 or so years to sell it to me, when he was gonna sell it, actually did. Well, that's pretty much priceless, right? This car, I know I should keep stock, but I don't know if I have the willpower to. It's just such a good car, and I wanna make it OEM plus. I don't know if I wanna lower it or if I want to lift it. You know that we have the 997 on the channel, and that car is currently going through quite the transformation right now. So you'll want to stay tuned for that, but let me know down in the comments. Did I make the right pick? Should I have gotten a Subaru WRX STI or an Evo? Or is this 04 C4S really the best all-around 4-season daily driver for here in the state of Washington? Let me know down below. Also, if you're new here and you enjoyed this video, my name is Brad Danger. This is Ideal. Go subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and thank you guys all for all this support over the years. And I'm pretty stoked for what's to come with this 996, which I think are starting to get a ton of attention. So thanks for watching, and as always, keep living the ideal lifestyle.